So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our second Congenital Heart Surgery Database User Group call. Happy Friday, everyone. We finally made it another week. For those that were not able to join us last week and may not be familiar with the purpose of these user group calls, the user group calls are used as a forum where we can talk to one another to share experiences and ideas on how to improve, hear how things are going with the transition from your perspective, and most importantly, you all have the opportunity to ask your questions with IQVIA and STS on the line and get some immediate feedback. On the call today, we have from the STS myself, Leanne Jones, Database Manager for the Thoracic and Congenital Databases, Carol Crone, Senior Clinical Manager for the STS National Database, Donna McDonald, Director of Quality, excuse me, Shane Hahn, Associate Director of Quality. We also have Addie Dolan from the STS, from the IQVIA teams. We've got Melanie Bent, Jeanette Hanna, Jean, and other team members. We also have Dr. Wormuth on the call as well. For the agenda today, I'll just go over a couple of quick housekeeping items, just provide a quick STS update, then I'll turn things over to IQVIA for the IQVIA update, and then we'll end the call with our Q&A portion. And also, please just remember to submit your questions using the Q&A function. For our housekeeping items, just a reminder that the July training manual has been updated and was posted out on the STS website. Also, the updated Appendix C that's found in the back of your feedback reports and your past feedback reports has been posted out on the STS website and is located in the version 341 data collection section under the additional resources heading. If you have any questions or issues locating that document, please feel free to email me. If we have time at the end, I'll navigate out to the website and show you where it's located as well. We have a quick harvest update. So far, approximately 80% of our participants have submitted data for this current harvest. No close date has yet been determined. STS and the task force are working to determine a possible harvest close date, and just please know that participants will be given a 4 weeks notice prior to the close of the harvest. For our STS updates, again, I just wanted to share this slide from last week for those that may not have been able to join the monthly webinar. Again, these additional procedures represent a list of new procedure codes that were added in 2019, version 341. The updated stat score table Appendix C, again, was posted on the website, and I did send a notification out to the data managers on June 30th indicating that this information was posted and the appendix was updated and, again, posted out on the website. Next, I am going to turn things over to Melanie for our IQVIA update. Mel?
Thanks, Leanne, and good afternoon, everyone. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of updates that we will be releasing. This weekend, we will be having an update applied to the registry, and also we needed to identify 2 items that will require users to reload the data into the database. So we do apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, but we do have 2 areas where we saw that due to functionality that was in place, and it basically raised up through the surgeon name and surgeon NPI being missing on the missing variable report. We did have users call in to support to determine that they noticed that information was not included, even though it was included on the DAT file. So a correction has been made in which the information, it did come in, but it did not save to the case form. So with that, we did do an adjustment, and over the weekend after that deployment happens, we will be sending out communication to the user community to give the notification to go ahead and proceed to re-upload your information. We do have or did have in place where if you were uploading, you would, of course, not have updates on records that have already been identified in the system with no changes. We did remove that check so that all information that's coming in on this upload will be applied. So you will see that all records that are coming in will be counted and will not have that check in regards to the record already being in the database, because we want everything to apply and make sure that all areas are being updated. So we're removing that check for this time. So we want to go ahead and get that also communicated to you all. The other area that was impacted was related to calculated fields on the specific fields that you see listed here: age, days, MTDB, DIS stat, hospital discharge date. Those were also impacted. When you reload, all of this information will be updated, and you'll be able to see there should be no related error or warnings related to those. I think that that was another thing that came out, was that users were seeing related messages to those fields and that information displayed on the DQR. So that will be corrected also. Let's go to the next slide. And another item that will be deployed over the weekend is related to the anesthesia 3.3 variables, where users were receiving messages related to anesthesia, even though they had the quote unquote parent in this instance. Even though in that version there's not a true parent like 3.41, the parent in this instance had to be set at the primary anesthesia present variable. So that has been updated. And so once that is set to no, the validations, of course, will respect that answer and not show related errors or warnings for the anesthesia fields. Of course, if the field is set to yes, then the validations would apply. So that will be deployed over this weekend. Okay, the next slide. Items that are under review. So we do have some items that came in, and I wanted to point out in regards to those that were encountering an item where it was preventing records from being uploaded due to the system stating a critical error on the field that is listed on the screen. We have identified the actual cause and have fixed it, but this will be included in a later deployment. It did not make it for this upcoming weekend's deployment. So this will be an item that will soon follow when we do the next update to the system. Another couple of items that are here that we have gotten feedback on is related to the index operations on the dashboard. Currently with index operations, we're seeing that there is an incorrect assignment for crossover patients. So when the time frame overlaps and it's looking at data that should pull, let's just say from the 2015 time frame, that information is not actually displaying on the dashboard. So we understand what's needed to make the change there. So that also will be addressed in a subsequent deployment. Another one that I actually got even an email related to the missing variable report for the MT365 stat. That logic to determine that the year of the surgery, that the year has passed, that logic needs to be applied. So we will go ahead and make that update. So if you're seeing that and you are understanding that the cases have not met that threshold, we know that the warning is firing at this time, so that logic will be included so that we can look at the timing for that case and not fire it when it is not required. And then we have two additional items related to missing variable that's listing here. We also will be addressing these. But these, again, are related to basically all users would be seeing this behavior if encountered. Let's go to the next slide. These are items that are reported specifically by sites, and it only impacted those sites. I just wanted to bring these up because we did have them on the slide the last time we met. And I just wanted to make sure that I did raise that these individual issues were on an individual site basis, and we have resolved these issues. So just wanted to also share that because it was on the previous presentation. But again, if you are encountering anything similar to this, again, we will need you to contact support because many times we see that it's not across the board for all users. We do have to look at the different circumstances on a site basis. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And future reports that we are looking at to be able to provide to the user community before the harvest close. That is the case eligibility for inclusion in mortality or analysis. We are doing some enhancements to the missing variable report to be able to get that information to you. And then another report, which is the primary procedure determination. So that is also an upcoming report that we are currently working on. And then of course, once the harvest is closed and the data is then submitted to DCRI, we will be getting that data back from DCRI, which would be the risk adjusted data, and we would be presenting that in the platform as new reports. So again, that is another future report to come. Next slide. We do have a new report that's available within the platform now, which is called the Critical Summary Report. And it's actually in the existing data quality report. So I wanted to show you how to get to that new report. And the way you would do that is using the existing link that's available on the actual uploader submission card. So you would use the same access entry that you would get to the data quality report by selecting the View Reports link. Let's go to the next slide. Once you're in that report, you will see on the lower left side, there's a new tab that's called Critical Summary. And on this Critical Summary, this will allow you to see a holistic view of all of your submissions so that you're able to review. So let's take a look at, I do have another slide to show you the actual report, and then we're going to do a demo. We'll go through it and we can walk through it together. So once you select that tab, you'll be navigated to this report interface. And here is where you're able to enter in your from date and your to date. And these dates are driven off of the submissions. Okay, so I put in a range here for this example where it's January the 1st, 2020 through May 1st, 2020. So all submissions during that time frame would be listed here. You'll see that you'll have the submission date listed. You'll have your upload ID for each submission listed. And within that actual submission entry, you will be able to determine the first surgery date. So the case that has the first surgery date for that submission, you will see that information. And then also for the last surgery date entry. And so you'll be able to see that view. Of course, the file status, whether or not the submission passed or failed. And then other things that users have asked us for is, can we see the total number of records that are in the submission? And out of the total numbers, what were the successful number of records? What were the failed number of records? And then of course, if there are any records that did not change, if the system identified records that had no changes, you'll be able to see that summary level view here. And then if you wanted to view that individual DQR, if you wanted to navigate to that actual report, you have the entry, the actual hyperlink available, and you can select that and it will navigate you to that DQR. The other thing I would like to point out is that you're able to filter this list because of course over time, multiple entries depending on the time frame, if you only want to focus on maybe looking at items that failed for some reason, and if that's available, you will see that you have the file status filters available on the left-hand side. And so you're able to just deselect. If you wanted to focus on failed, you can deselect past, and then you're able to look at all of the items that have failed. So just wanted to point that out. That filter is dynamic, meaning that if you did not have any failed and you only had passed, then that is the filter that you would see. You would not see an entry or an option to filter on failed, because there would be no failed to filter. So just wanted to point that out. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at the report. I'll walk you through, again, navigating to how you would get to the report. And then let's see, let me just make this screen if I can. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share.
Okay.
And Leanne, just confirm once
Yep.
it comes up. Should see the platform.
Yes, ma'am. I can see it.
Okay, perfect. All right. So once you're in on the uploader interface, you can access any DQR, and you will have the ability to navigate to the critical summary report. So if I were to go ahead and use the entry, let's just go ahead and open up this first one. Once the report loads, at the very bottom left corner of the report, you will see that there's a new tab for you. And so once you select that tab, it's going to open up that new report interface for you. And here is where you would just put in a time frame. So I'll do the January 2020, and then we can go through the, I believe I did May. So let's use that. Okay, once you have your dates entered, you would just run the report. And in here I have just one entry that fits this time frame that I just entered in. And so here I have the entry, and I'm able to then determine it passed. Remember, I told you if there is no failed entries, then this filter, of course, would not show failed. Okay, and so you would see, of course, file status, and then here you're able to determine how many records were included in that submission and how many were successful out of the total, how many failed, or if there were determined records that did not change, you would see that count here. And then to navigate to that actual data quality report, you would just select this hyperlink and it would bring you to that specific report. Okay, if you did have any critical messages, and this is more so for the failed entries, it would give you information in regards to that failed entry, that failed status entry. And so you would see those items here. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. Again, it is available for you to be able to review right now. So you're able to take a look at that. And if you needed to navigate back to the data quality report that you were reviewing initially, you would just select the data quality report tab, and it brings you right back to where you started from. Okay, and then of course functionality stays the same. I do want to raise just an item, because this was something that we were notified by our support team, that we did see a change in behavior that we are looking at and getting a resolution for. We've noticed that when you go in and do a select on the actual pie graph, for example, you'll see that of course it defaults and it highlights all of the items here, but the behavior of deselecting or being able to select on a single record, that did change. So we are working on making that update so that you're able to select the individual record if you wanted to see that specific record message. In the meantime, you would have to review or sort by looking at the source ID. If you're looking for a specific patient, you can sort and look for the patient ID there. Another thing that you can do too, just to throw it out there, is that you can do a Control F within the browser, and if you wanted to pull up that information, you can put that ID and it would highlight and bring you to that actual patient ID or operation ID. So just wanted to call that out. But we, of course, looking at making sure that we can get that back to the previous state where you can select the individual cell. Okay, I'm going to stop here. That is the current updates for what we have. And of course, like I said before, we will be sending out notification on when you can go ahead and proceed with the reload, so that that information can get updated in the platform. Okay, and that will be after we do our software deployment. Okay, so Leanne, I will stop sharing here, and it's back to you.
All right, I was on mute, talking to myself. Thank you, Melanie. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you for the update. All right, for our next, we'll move on to the IQVIA support plan. Again, you all have seen this slide before. This information is posted out on the STS website. For tech support, please contact IQVIA at ststechsupport@iqvia.com. If you prefer to speak to a live person, please use the number 833-256-7187. Once you contact support, you'll be connected with Tier 1, and live support is available 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Tier 1 will assist. If Tier 1 is unable to answer your question, they will route accordingly to either Tier 2 for support or directly to STS. And then either Tier 2 would follow up with you in regards to your question, or STS would follow up depending upon your question. And of course, if you have questions, if there are questions related to analysis, we would route and work with DCRI directly. In terms of Tier 2, if there's issues with vendors, Tier 2 would contact your vendor directly if necessary. Let's see here. Next slide, we have, again, just our listing of the resources that are available to you. We have our STS National Database webpage. We encourage you to go out there. A lot of information can be found here. We have our STS tech support. And again, the phone number for support that I just covered in the previous slide. Also, the STS National Database feedback form. We encourage you to fill out this form. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, if there's anything that feature enhancements that you would like to see within the platform. We would love to hear back from you, so please feel free to use that form and get back to us. Resource documents. This information is located out on the STS database transition page out on the website. You'll find all of our contact information, information about the webinars, an FAQ document. We have our Go Live checklist, the tier level support document, as well as training videos, a link to IQVIA up on the STS website. As always, here is my contact information. My direct email is ljones@sts.org. My direct line is 312-202-5822. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime with any questions or concerns. I'm happy to help in any way possible. If you all have any database operational questions regarding access to the platform, if you have not gotten your username or password, please email us at stsdb@sts.org. If you have any questions regarding participation agreements, your current contacts, again, please use this stsdb@sts.org email address, and we'll be happy to assist you. For our next congenital webinars, please be sure to mark your calendar. Our next monthly webinar is July 17th at 12 o'clock. That should be 12 p.m. Central. Sorry about that. At 12 p.m. Central. Oops. And then our next user group call is scheduled for July 24th at 11 a.m. Central. So again, please make sure you mark your calendars for our next monthly webinar, as well as our next user group call. Next, we're going to turn things over to you all for questions. We'll answer as many questions as we can. And as always, we encourage your feedback. So if everyone is ready, we'll get started with our questions. All righty. Let's see here. Our first question, with the late spring harvest, is the deadline to submit for the fall harvest going to be extended? So Cindy, we have not established any, as we said, we've not established any deadlines yet for spring or the fall harvest. We are in communication with the task force to determine if we combine harvests. More information will be coming as soon as possible. As soon as we do get harvest close dates and additional information, we will notify participants. And again, participants will be given at least a 4 weeks notice prior to any harvest close date. So we will be sharing information as soon as we have a final decision from between STS and the task force. So again, more information will be coming as soon as a final decision is made. Our next question, I believe this is for Melanie and team, the anti-fib unable to process any of these procedures until the update. Did I hear this correctly? When is the update planned?
So this is Melanie. It is preventing records with, so specifically for that field, if you're sending in a decimal value, it is preventing the record from coming in. So just to clarify, so not everyone is encountering that actual critical error. With the examples that we've seen, it's a decimal is being sent, and so that specific record is not being allowed to come in. So that update is scheduled towards the, we're still looking at timing around that. It's not included on this weekend's release, the July 11th. We are looking at another release to come out on August the 1st. So we are looking at getting it in at that time. So those specific records, if you are encountering that critical error on that record, once the update is done, then you will be able to get those included in.
Great, thank you. And also before I move on, Carol put a note in the chat box. If you have a specific IQVIA issue that you would like to submit into the Q&A, please be sure to include your reference number given to you from IQVIA. This will help Melanie and team track the issue and follow up accordingly. So thank you, Carol, for pointing that out. Our next question, can you show the slide prior to Melanie's CHSD feature report slide? Absolutely, let me pull that up, and I believe that's the reported issue slide. So that is up on the screen now, and let me know if you would like to see any other slides. Happy to pull them up as well. Our next question from Dawn. Any word on getting op type added to the records level validation as a column?
We're still looking at when that can be done, Dawn. But right now the priority is getting the case inclusion and primary procedure updates, but we definitely have it on the list.
All right, perfect. And again, just clarifying, we are to reload all files after corrections are made on July 11.
That is correct. And we would be sending out the confirmation of when the reload can happen.
Right. And again, as Melanie said, the STS will send a communication alerting all participants when it's that we need to, one, have you resubmit your data, and two, when it is after the update is done on the IQVIA end. So participants will receive a communication notifying them of the reload. Our next question or comment, it says, I like the new critical summary report because it is similar to something we saw in the old DQRs. It would be nice to have a process or checklist for data managers to complete to verify their harvest submission. For example, I would write notes on each item in the old DQR and verify every table in the DQR and cite how it was validated. This was then kept in my files as a means to verify my report. So that's from Diane. So thank you, Diane. That is some good feedback, and we'll take that back and look into seeing if we can come up with some type of checklist. So that is a good idea. Our next question, when will we be able to verify number of surgeries by surgeon, anesthesiologist, op type, mortality by type like the previous DQRs?
This is Melanie. Again, we have many different requests that are coming in. So again, we work with the STS to determine the priority, and we know, of course, the priority is getting that case inclusion for mortality and primary procedure determination. So we do have, of course, the feedback from you all, and we work with STS to determine how we can prioritize to get that out.
Right.
But we definitely
And I
have
believe
that one on the list too.
Yeah, and I think Melanie, was it the last webinar, or we had demonstrated how to get the count by op type in the dashboard. So some of that is available, within the dashboard. You can look at your mortalities, your 30-day mortalities, your discharge mortalities, and you can get a count, and then you can filter down to see which patients or indicated as mortality. So some of those features are available within the dashboard, but like Melanie said, not everything is quite yet available, and we are working on that to get those enhancements into the platform. So our next question, regarding the graphics on the dashboard, any hopes that the fields could be opened up for better reading? Unable to read some sections. Dawn's willing to share her screen to demonstrate.
Okay, and I think, and we can take, I think we should have some time and we can take a look, but I think it also is dependent on screen resolution too, because it does resize. But I do understand your concern, Dawn, in regards to that. But we can take a look at the dashboard with the graphics and see how we can maybe give you some shortcuts on seeing some of those. But again, I think it does also depend on your screen size resolution. So we can take a look. We'll do like a walk through if we have time. I think we should, right?
Sure. Yeah, we should. Yeah, we'll have time. Let's see. For our next question, we are seeing some outstanding anesthesia errors in the Harvest summary report. And although we submit anesthesia data, it isn't always complete. So we wanted to know if that will cause any long-term submission issues. For the errors listed, will STS drop just that anesthesia record, or does it impact the entire patient record? We are just wanting to know if we should only be submitting 100% complete and accurate anesthesia records, or if there was still a benefit to at least submitting what we have. So if it's a critical error, then it will drop the entire patient record. It will not drop just that anesthesia record. In terms of long-term submission issues, if you're just having missing data, obviously, we want you to get as much data as possible. We want you to have as clean as data as possible. For the anesthesia, there's not a percent missing threshold for reporting purposes for those anesthesia records, but we do encourage you to submit as much data as possible and to have as complete records as possible. But as long as it's not a critical error, it'll just be reported as missing data. So I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add about that missing information.
No, I think you covered it.
Okay.
And if it's general
Peter,
errors, sorry, if I was just saying, if there's general errors, so long as it's not a critical error, if it's a error or warning, then the information did come in, but it's flagging you to, of course, review those fields in question. But if it's just like Leanne said, if it's a critical, then it will prevent the entire patient record from being saved to the database.
All right. And Peter, if you have additional questions, if you'd like to touch base about with that offline, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. Our next question, let's see, just want to confirm, are we to re-upload only files that we have submitted since the Harvest window opened, or are we to re-upload all 4 years of data?
It's just the files that you submitted since the Harvest window opened. It's that data that was coming in. Okay, let's see here. Let's see.
support system is challenging. I've tried to call and email, and issues are unresolved. And I do know a call that tech support and will be following up with you, I believe, today. So we are aware of the issues, McCall, and thank you for your patience. And we are having someone contact you today to discuss your concerns. So thank you. I submit data for 2 hospitals under one participant ID. The DQR doesn't let me see data for each one of the hospitals. Never had an issue. And again, McCall, I think support is going to be in touch with you to discuss your specific concerns. So, and then we have a request to add the hospital name to the critical summary.
But
so for each,
the report is actually at a participant level. It's not hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So unless the participant is different for each hospital, but the information that you're reviewing now is at the participant level. So yeah, the critical summary is showing the submission for that participant. Right.
And McCall, we can discuss this offline if necessary. So please feel free to reach out to me. Okay, our next question. When will you have the section on combination codes recommended instead of 2 separate procedures? Let's see.
Is that the primary procedure,
I'm not,
Leanne?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking if she's inquired about the primary procedure determination. That, McCall, that report is being created. It's underway. It's not available yet, but it will be coming soon and will be available prior to the close of the harvest. Okay, and one of her ticket numbers, Melanie, is 02651870.
Okay.
All right. And Sam, it's the same thing with the missing combination procedure codes. It was the missing combination procedure codes was a section in the DQR, and we can discuss that. We don't have that available at this time. Right now, we're working on the case eligibility for inclusion and mortality analysis, as well as the primary procedure determination. We can also look at the missing combination procedure code. I know that was a table in the previous DQR, and we can work with IQVIA to get that on the list for future reports. So we can definitely look at that and discuss that with IQVIA. Let's see. In the dashboard sections, the procedure section is missing.
We can take a
look.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we could take a look at that. I thought it was
listed. Yeah, I thought we had that, but we can take a look.
Yep. Let's see here. Let's see, and regarding Peter's question regarding the anesthesia missing data, this is a change from previous harvest submissions, correct? Anesthesia data did not cause records to be excluded. Kelly, that is correct. This is within the new platform within IQVIA for the critical errors, even if it's an anesthesia, a critical error will keep the entire record from being accepted into the database. So this is a new process, with the IQVIA platform, within the IQVIA platform. So this is a little different from the way things were done in the past. So yes, you are correct. Let's see. In the past, we were able to print the DQR. Is there a way to do this now, or is it possible to print the DQR now?
Yeah, that didn't change. Yeah. You should still have the ability to print the DQR, but again, we will have someone contact you, so they should be able to assist.
Okay, and the dashboard, multiple race is not a category in STS. So that is something. Okay, so what she's saying is the multiple race variable is out there in the dashboard, but it's not a category within STS. I think that's what she's saying. All right.
But I believe even in the, and I would have to go back and look. So within the dashboard, it's just giving an option for multiple races. I think that's what she's saying.
Yeah. Okay. Still having an error for blood products after 24 hours. It's similar to the autologous transfusion error. It says it's missing, but it's just unchecked because none was given. The ticket was submitted. Oh, it's ticket number. Melanie, she's put her ticket number down in the questions.
I think we have some support team members also. Let's make sure that they
support
can also assist with pulling these.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave that ticket number there so you all can see that. I'm not going to dismiss. Okay. All right. So Autumn support is looking at that and getting your ticket number so we can address that. So regarding Peter Kelly's records will be excluded from the database or from analysis. So if a record has a critical error, it is not being accepted into the database. So therefore, it's not getting in the front door. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, this is Carol. I think that can be a little confusing when we talk about what a critical error is, and I know that we probably have explained it, but sometimes hearing it explained different ways is helpful too. So a critical error are things that don't make sense, and it would be something like your operative date is before your admission date. That is a critical error because there's no way that your operation could be before your admission date. So it's going to stop right there and say you need to go back and fix this before we even allow that record to come in. Right? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Carol. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm finding a lot of fields that I have marked or left unknown are showing up in missing values or showing up in my missing values report. Is that an IQVIA or Lumetics issue? So it depends upon the field, Jen. For example, if you have status at 30 days is unknown, unknown is considered missing data in analysis. So I would actually suggest following up with support to make sure there isn't another issue going on, to make sure that the unknown value is actually coming over or if it's truly missing. So I would actually suggest contacting support and having them take a look at the data file just in case to be 100% sure. I don't know, Mel, if you had anything you wanted to add on that.
Sorry, I thought I was muted. I was trying to move my screen. Yeah, I would say that if there's different rules on certain variables. So if you're seeing that there are variables that shouldn't have those rules applied, I know definitely, I think you said mortality, if I can remember correct. If it is answered as unknown, it is considered as missing in the report. But if you're seeing other variables which wouldn't fall into that category, then we definitely need to be made aware. So if you can contact support so that we can just take a look and see what's happening.
Okay. On the next webinar, can you please spend some time demonstrating functionality of the dashboard so we can become more familiar with all the offerings under each section as to how we can verify data regarding mortality and risk model variables? So absolutely. And I think on the, like I said, on the previous webinar, Melanie went through some of the dashboard functionality showing how to get counts for op type and mortality variables as well. I believe it was it the last, it was our last user group, was last week's user group call, I believe, Melanie.
Yes.
Yep, and that recording is out there, but of course we can absolutely go through the dashboard again and get familiar with some of the functionality. So more than happy to do that. Let's see here. I was getting warnings for unknown fields in IVF or adopted. Should I just put no instead? Born by IVF. Let me see. Should we be honest, Stephanie or Jen, born by IVF? I'll need to take a look at that offline. I'm not sure. So before I answer that, let me take a look at the data specs and data collection form before I answer that. So feel free to shoot me an email and we can follow up. We can touch base with that. What happens when data is updated locally and ends up resulting in a critical error? Will the record that had already been entered be removed from IQVIA, or does it just not get updated?
It doesn't get updated. It wouldn't be removed. It still would be in place on the database, the saved record, but the updates that you were trying to make to that record would not be applied.
All right. And Melanie, I assume you guys got this ticket number from Autumn, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark that
Yes, I did.
as
Yep.
responded to. Okay, perfect. All right. I've got about 10 more minutes. I don't have any other questions in the Q&A. I don't know, Melanie, if you wanted to go through anything on the dashboard, or if you had something up that you
Sure.
wanted to cover.
I can go back. I know Dawn had asked in regards to in regards to the labeling, I think, and we would have to take a look at that. Give me a moment. I will share my screen if I can. Here we go.
All right, I'm going to stop share.
Go.
All right, your screen's coming up.
All
right, I can see it.
All right, so here we are, and I know Dawn was asking about the labels. In certain instances, yeah, because of the formatting, yeah, it's cutting off. So that's what she's referring to.
Okay.
Is there a way? And it's within the actual tool. This is something I can, of course, ask our team about in regards to making to see if this could be extended out so you can just see the full text. So I will ask them about that. But you do have an option just in the meantime that if you were to review and if you were to hover, it does give you the full text there, but I will find out from them if there's a way to do some type of realignment to see if we can display full text. Hopefully I think that's what you were talking about, Dawn. So wanted to show that.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, while we're in here, can you show, what we covered last week on the counts for like op type and mortality variables?
Sure. So let's take a look. That information is listed under the discharge readmission section, and you can navigate to here. You will see that. Let's just go here. I know we were getting asked questions, mortality status at a hospital discharge, database discharge. I'm in a test environment, a generic 999, so I don't have any cases, but this is where, of course, you would see your total number of cases for those variables. And then if you were to scroll down, let me just see if I can give you the full list. Give me 1 second. Let's do, if you can maximize this full list so you can get to see. And then there was another section too that we showed, op type. Great, so we can go to operative. And counts in regards to the op types would be located here. Again, if you wanted to maximize the view, just right click and you can do a full view of that section. Okay, so here's where you would see that list. Okay, let's bring it back. And I think someone said that they weren't able to print the DQR. And this functionality works in any of the reports. So let me just show you. I'll navigate to the DQR just to at least show that too. Okay. I'll use this first one. Okay. I'll go ahead and select the pie, and it's going to give me the full list of all of my errors, criticals and errors. I'll right click in this section, and what I can do is export this. I usually would export to Excel. If you're using another type of spreadsheet program, you could use the option to export table or export table without formatting. Okay. Once you select the option, I'm going to use the option for Excel. It's going to bring up another menu for you. Change this drop down, this export drop down, to active page. That's the only thing that you would need to change on this menu. Okay, once you select active page, you would hit export, and that will generate the Microsoft Excel export. Okay, so it will do that. If it prompts you to open, sometimes, and make sure that sometimes the browser may do a pop-up, a block. So you would want to make sure that you have those turned off. It opened in another window for me, so I'm going to move it over. Just give me 1 second. Here's the Excel extract.
Hey, Melanie, I don't know if you can see in the comments, this is Carol. It says there's no procedure on the left side under the select report.
Under select, hold on, let me go back. Sorry.
It's okay. It probably was.
In this menu?
Oh, it was on the dashboard. It was on the dashboard.
Oh, on the dashboard. Okay. Give me
Yeah.
1 moment. I'll go back to that one. Let me just show the extract. Okay, so here is all of the details that we have in the DQR. All of the information is available within the extract. Okay, here's that. So I'm just going to close it, and going back to the dashboard, let's navigate back. Yeah, I don't have any cases, so let's use that. Okay, all ages, and yes. Okay, so let's get this generated, and procedures is what we're looking for.
Yeah, she's specifically under the select report menu on the left-hand side.
On the left hand, hold on. In the parameters?
Yeah.
Sorry. In here?
Yeah, the parameters. Yeah. Hold on, it's coming up.
These?
Under the select report, here we have the admin demographics, non-cardiac, but yeah, the procedures. Go ahead, you explain.
Oh, here. We're talking about in
Yeah.
the select report list. Okay.
Right. Right.
Let's see. Let me go back and look. I'm trying to, I thought we had procedures, but I need to go back and look. We have VAD procedures, but just procedures. Let me go ahead and just verify. So it
Thank you,
something
McCall.
that, yeah, something that was there before, but then now it's missing. That's, yeah, not good. we will take a look at that.
And our next comment, can you maybe open the webinar for live discussion next time? Carol and I, we can talk about that. It tends to get very complicated to a little difficult to manage. Sometimes we have well over 100 people on the webinars, and it gets very difficult to try and manage all that conversation going on at once. So we can discuss. I don't know, Carol, if you have any other thoughts.
Yeah, we won't be opening it up to live discussion just because of how many people are on the call and how difficult it is to give each person time to talk and ask their questions. And if there's further questions from that answer, it can really kind of get confusing for other people on the line. But Michael, if you would like to reach out to Leanne, I know that it seems like you probably have a lot of questions that maybe we can do something offline with. So I was just going to send you a private email back to your question with some more information.
Thank you. Let's see here. And then here we have, if it would be helpful to provide time for end users to access live hands-on help with the IQVIA platform outside of these meetings. And I believe tier support, Melanie or Jean, is available to assist with some type of walkthrough. I'm assuming, is that correct? If they need assistance, perhaps walking through the platform, is that a capability available via IQVIA support?
Yeah, the team can do that. This is Jean, sorry. The team can do that if they call in. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the support is really helpful in helping adult cardiac and general thoracic users who are having difficulty with the platform, walking them through and helping if they're not able to find certain areas or trying to figure out how to make the screens bigger, anything like that. I know support has been really helpful for both of the other databases.
Thank you for that.
And
sorry, this is Jean again. What would be helpful is that when they reach out to tech support, if they can just indicate what they're really looking for understanding, and that way they can tailor, their response when they reach back out to them. So that way they can get prepared, and that way they know how much time to allot and that type of thing. So they can give them as much or as little time as needed.
Right. They're not going to walk everybody through the platform individually, because that's why we've been doing these webinars. But if there's specific issues that people are having difficulty with, I know that the support at IQVIA has been helpful for those specific issues.
Right. And again, all the webinars and the user group calls are all recorded, and they are out on the website. So if you do need to go back and review something that we may have covered last week, the recording is out there for you to download and take a look at. So also, in the meantime, I have put the IQVIA support plan slide back up with their phone number. So please, feel free to give them a call. If you need live in-person support, would like to talk to a human, please give them a call at that number. Let's see here. We have one more question that just came in. I know we're on the hour. It says, where is the best place to start for new STS IQVIA data abstractors training? So there is, it'll be out on the STS website in August for the congenital databases. We will be starting a quarterly new data manager webinar series. So that will be coming in August, and we'll have those dates soon. Can you see my screen, Carol? I have the STS website up.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. So I'm on the STS website for the new data managers we have some data manager education here. This information, my computer is very slow. I apologize. I don't know what's going on here. The data manager education page could have some valuable information. We do encourage you, if you are a new data manager, to apply for the data manager mentorship program. So this will be extremely helpful. New data managers are connected with a seasoned mentor And so you would have a mentor to assist you through, your new role, the new data abstractor role. So we highly encourage you to apply for this program. And then also, again, we will have the new data manager webinars starting out in August. And again, more information and dates will be coming for the new data manager program. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to share?
Leanne, may I make a comment? This is Jane.
Sure.
Hi. Just for new data managers, often it's hard for us to determine who's new because we get so many participant contact forms in through the STSDB inbox, but we do have new data manager welcome emails that we can share with you, which provides a link to all the resources you may need for each of the components that you may be a new data manager for. So if they want to email stsdb@sts.org, Addie and I will be sure to send that email along to any new data manager who needs a list of resources.
Thank you. I'll put that.
Thank you.
Chat box. Oops.
Thank you. All right, and before we wrap up, again, just to our next monthly webinar is scheduled for July 17th at 12 p.m. Central Time, not a.m. I plan to be asleep at that time. And also, our next user group call is scheduled for 2 weeks from today, Friday, July 24th at 11 a.m. Central. So please be sure to mark your calendars, and we hope to see you guys next Friday on the 17th for our monthly webinar. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you all for joining today. We appreciate it. And please feel free to reach out to myself directly if you have any questions or if I can be of any assistance. I'm always here to help, or to reach out to stsdb@sts.org. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you for joining today, and we'll chat with you next week. Thank you all.